One of the things that we do with Unity that's, I think, super cool and super unique is that we light the Advent candles. And so our candle lighting is a simple rhythm that mirrors basically something that we forget about all year, and that is the spiritual awakening that happens at a little bit at a time. And so as we go through the processes of Advent, it's the reminder. It's lighting the Christ light is the reminder of the light that is within. So we actually have 4 candles, and then the center one is the Christ candle. So what happens normally is that each Sunday we light one additional candle on the Advent wreath and allowing the light to grow just as the Christ light grows in each and every one of us and in our awareness. So there's 4 candles leading us towards the Christmas Eve. The first 2 are hope and faith, and then we have peace, and then we have love, and then ultimately we have joy. And so each week adds another flame as a reminder, or if you will, an invitation, if you can think about it that way, to let something within us start to soften and start to grow. And then on Christmas Eve, of course, we light the center candle, which is actually the Christ candle. And so that moment symbolizes a full realization of the Christ that's within us coming alive. And so this isn't a far off idea, although during the Christmas season it can feel like that because it becomes such a highlight. And so what we do is we focus on that at this time of year, but in truth, if you're a real Unity student and you really study the stuff that the Fillmores taught and the things that we talk about here, this actually happens all year long, right? It's not something that's just reserved for this time of year. It's not something that's just reserved for the saints and the mystics. And if that's anything that I hope to goodness the message that you get here on a regular basis is quit looking outside of yourself and saying, well, that may be for them, but it's not for me. And I don't care whether you're looking at Buddha or you're looking at Jesus or you're looking at somebody else like that. And it's not that I don't love them and respect the journey that they had, but what I'm here to tell you is that journey that they took is inside of you. You have your own journey of awakening, each and every one of us, and it looks completely different. But what happens is we have a tendency to look outside of ourselves and think, oh, they were able to do it, but that's not my time. And I am going to absolutely challenge you on that every single time and tell you, no, it is your time. Right here, right now. And the only reason you're not having that experience is because you're telling yourself, not here, not now. Do you understand you're the only one that's doing that? Do you truly get that? Do you understand it? Nobody is telling you that you can't have that experience except for you. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care what your past is. You can sit there and tell me the stories and all the things on why it shouldn't be your time. And what I'm going to tell you is that's your ego intentionally there trying to stop you from having your own awakening and your own experience. No, but you don't understand, Mike. I don't study this stuff. I'm not into this stuff like you do. I don't understand it like you do. It doesn't matter. Do you get that? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you go, I think it's time. I think it's time for me to wake up. I don't care what my past is, what happened in my past. I don't care what I did yesterday. I don't care what I did 10 years ago. I don't care all the struggles I've been through. I know, Mike, but you don't understand. Look at this hot mess. Are you kidding me? How many people get the hot mess thing? Yeah, right? We've all been there. There's not a single person in here that hasn't been through a hot mess. Guess what? That's the ticket and the price that you paid to come down here. But what I'm telling you is you don't have to stay in the hot mess. And for the people right now, and I know there's a handful of you that are there, that are in the middle of the hot mess, just know that I love you. And I'm really sorry in some respects that you're going through the hot mess. But what I'm also here to tell you is that by going through the hot mess, you get to find yourself. Because in the middle of all of it, what happens is you'll learn to start to be quiet, and then all of a sudden the still silent voice starts to get louder. It starts to get louder, and it starts to get louder. But it's a hot mess that you go through that teaches you to settle into your own power and your own strength and your own divinity. That's the message of the Fillmores. That's the message of Jesus. Do you think Jesus went through a hot mess? Seriously. You can't look at his story. I mean, the Christmas part of it's kind of cool, right? I mean, isn't it fun? We get to see the birth of Jesus. That's fun. This beautiful little baby in a manger and the whole story. And we're going to go through all that stuff, right? But don't forget the other side of it, right? And all the stuff that he had to go through, which was absolutely perfect. But that was his story. I promise you, if he was sitting here, you know what he would do? He would walk up to you and say, "Tell me your story," because your story is just as important as my story. My story is not better than your story. It's not. And so it doesn't mean anything. We can still love, honor, and praise Jesus. As you know, I'm a huge fan of JC, as I call him, right? But it does mean that we can also look within ourselves and find that story for ourselves. That's the journey. That's the waking up. So when it comes to the candles, what we talk about is the first candle carries actually two qualities. I mentioned that. Realize that the candles here are reminders of our own light. And that's what they are. So the first ones are faith and hope. There we go. Awesome. So we affirm that hope and faith are already alive within us. And we don't summon them, we remember them. That's how we do it. It's a quiet strength that rises when we stop fighting the world and start listening to the presence that's within us. And as this candle burns, we remember that true peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's not. It's actually the awareness of God. And then so the second candle then is our peace candle. And as we light that, we remember the peace that is within us. And we know that God, when we're focused on God, that peace can be a part of us and it lives within us. And so that candle helps us remember the peace that is within. And so when we light these candles, may we remember this deeper calm as we go through the season, as a way to gently flow through it. Because this season, if we're not careful, can have a tendency to be a little bit chaotic, a little bit crazy, like microphones going crazy and slides going crazy and all that stuff, right? But there is, if we just slow down for a minute, let me not forget who I am. Let me not forget what I'm connected to. Let me know that I'm part of something bigger, right? And so let us remember these lights as we go forward today. So as I was preparing for our talk last week, and I really started thinking about the Advent season, the thing that kept coming to my mind stronger and stronger and stronger was the idea of light. And so at first I thought, wow, let's talk about this idea of this season, this Advent season, and preparing for the light. And then I thought, okay, so I got prepared for it, and then we didn't have the service. And then I thought, okay, well, what would be the next thing that would happen after we prepare for the light? And it was choosing it. And so my talk today is going to be a little bit talking about preparing for it, but then also choosing the light. And we were supposed to have this idea of, okay, let's get prepared for it. But, you know, again, we had the winter storm. And even though we didn't gather in person, what happened was we went through the process, or internally, this idea of preparing. And the thinking or the thought was, the holiday season can get so crazy with the comings and the goings. We get rushed. We forget. Like with all the busyness and everything that's going on, what's happening is if we're not careful, we get sucked up into that and we lose the spirit of the season. How many people know exactly what I'm talking about? Yeah. And that's the thing that I really wanted to talk about in terms of preparing for the season is just, hey, let go of that. Let go of the busyness. Let go of the things that are going on in your life and remember that the whole point of the season is right here, And how do you do that? How do you slow down enough? What is it that you personally need to do to not forget the reason for what we're doing here in the season? And so I ask you that question in your own hearts and your own mind. What is it that you need to do for you because what you need to do for you is going to be different than what I need to do for me. But how do you, just use that? Okay. How do you actually prepare for the season that's coming in and don't lose yourself? How do you do that? I'm curious. Anybody got any answers to that one? How do you personally do it? You ground. Beautiful. Thank you, Christina. Any other ideas? You meditate. Okay. Love it. Prayer. Okay. Anybody else? What's that? Gratitude. Beautiful. Yeah. What else? Go outside. I'm sorry? Go outside. Go outside. Be in nature. Go look at the walk in the snow. Yeah. Do less. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. These are all great ideas, and I would just invite you into the process of figuring out whatever it is that you need to do so you don't lose the reason for the season, as the saying goes. So prepare. And just know, by the way, does that mean that you're not going to be busy in doing things? No, you're going to be busy in doing things. But is there a way that you can be busy and also stay grounded and connected and do all those other things as you're going through the Christmas season, right? So, and if you think about it, it reminded me as I was preparing for this about the story of when Jesus was born. If you think about it, Mary and Joseph were preparing, the shepherds were preparing, the wise men were preparing, right? Heaven itself was preparing, everything. And then all of a sudden, in this one moment, everything shifts. Everything changes when Jesus is born. And the world becomes still. And it slows down. And the noise quiets. And then all of a sudden, we have everything that is there for us in the moment when Jesus is actually born. And the contrast is absolutely intentional. So you have all this hurry, 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 and then you have slow down at the birth and just realize what's there. And the birth is peaceful. And actually both the preparation and the birth are really holy. And so the invitation last week was don't miss the miracle because you're too busy preparing for it. Don't miss it. Don't miss it because it's there. I promise you, it's there for you if you can slow down enough for it. And don't let the season happen to you so quickly that you forget to let it happen through you. This experience called Christmas can be something that happens inside of you. And my hope and prayer for each and every one of you is that you're able to recognize that you're able to feel it, that you're actually able to have a real experience of going through this process, this birthing process of your own inner Christ. This gift that was given to us, this lesson that was given to us from Jesus and his birth is something that each and every one of you can experience. So when we switch from the preparation to the choice, the biggest thing that I wanted to share with you this morning in terms of choosing the light is that is a choice that comes down to you. Spirit's not going to show up and all of a sudden force itself on you. That's not the way it works at all. Actually, the way that Spirit works is it's soft, it's gentle, it's quiet. But that's something for you, actually, to initiate. You're the one that starts that. Nobody else, because that's not the way Spirit works. Spirit is going to come quietly, but it's only going to come to you when you are the one that initiates the invitation. In other words, welcome, Spirit. Come to me, Spirit. Be with me, Spirit. I am ready for you, Spirit. Does it matter the way that you do it? Do you think it matters the way that you start the process? What's the only thing that matters? Thank you. It's the intention. Every single thing that you do, especially when you start doing this work, when you start doing the deeper work, the connective work, in terms of waking your own divinity, what happens is if we're not careful, we can get caught up into, well, it needs to look like this. It needs to sound like this. We need to do it this way. Here's the rules. This is what it needs to happen. And what I'm telling you is it doesn't matter. None of it matters except for one thing, your intention. What's your intention? My suggestion is once you figure that out, you let Spirit know. You let the universe know. You let God know. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm choosing to wake up right now. I'm choosing to let go of forgetting my divinity. I'm choosing to step fully back into my power. And when you set that intention, what I'm going to tell you is the universe doesn't care what it sounds like. It doesn't. Why? Because of who you are, this beautiful, amazing child of God. That's why. Because the universe hasn't forgotten who you are. The universe is fully aware of who you are. It's just waiting for you to remember who you are, right? And then all of a sudden, when you realize who and what you are, and you actually have some say over this, then all of a sudden the universe starts to acknowledge you back. That's when it starts to get super fun. Because then all of a sudden, guess what? It's going to show up for you in ways that you never dreamed possible. You really start to see the divine in every single thing that you see. You see it in every single face that you see. You hear it in every single song that you hear played. You see it out in the world. I don't care what it is. But all of a sudden what happens is it feels like your eyes are being used by God. I'm going to say that again. When you start to play with this, what happens is you literally are letting God flow through you, and now you get to see everything as God sees everything, which is what? Love. Love. So even in the comings and the goings, even in the busyness, even in all the stuff for the Christmas season, you actually get to slow down enough and let this come through you. And then all of a sudden let Spirit use you. And then you get to sit back and you get to watch it. And when you can become an observer and see everything through the eyes of God, your whole world's going to change. Your whole world's going to change. Because then all of a sudden, you know that you're being held by God. You know that you're part of God. You know that God is inside of you. And you know that all you need to do is get out of its way and let it go through you and use you. And that's a whole different experience that we're not used to. We're not used to it, right? When we step into the season and we do it consciously, what I'm going to tell you is you have an opportunity to do it very consciously. And so my suggestion, and this is why Choosing the Light is the title, the name of the title, is do it consciously. Do it consciously. Make a decision. I am going to live this holiday season, this Christmas season. I'm going to do it consciously. And then let the universe know how you want to do it. So here's my question. How do you want to do it? How do you want to do it? Gently? Beautiful. Anybody else? Joyfully? Love that. How many people want to have some fun? How many people want to have a lot of fun? Yeah. How else can you live it? Lovingly? Mm-hmm. Peacefully? Mm-hmm. How else? Boldly? Oh, I love that. Yay. I'm sorry. Intentionally, yes, thank you. Consciously is good. Intentionally. Delightfully. All right, folks, I know there's more out there. Speak up. Carefully. Gratefully. Gratefully. Oh, gracefully. I love that. See how much God loves every person. Isn't it fun? And the thing that I really want to bring out is, isn't it interesting how God is coming through each and every one of us just a little bit differently? And do you know what? Whatever you're thinking, even if you didn't say a word, I just want you to know that it's absolutely perfect. Like whatever you decide is exactly what Spirit needed for you to go through and what it needed to go through. That's part of the deal. I mean, that's part of the bigger plan on what's going on. And so we're able to settle into this idea or this thought that you have the ability this season to actually choose whatever it is that you choose to experience, to have whatever it is that you want to have, to invite Spirit into your life in a way possibly deeper than you've ever had it come into your life before. How many people want more God in their life? Cool. Like, here's what I'm going to tell you. Set the intention that you want to have more God in your life. And I promise you what's going to happen is it's going to show up. Don't freak out when it happens. Right? And you can use all the words that you want to use, but it doesn't matter because Spirit's going to do what Spirit's going to do in terms of your opportunity to experience it in an expression, in a way that's going to quite simply, and this is what I love. I love Spirit surprising me. I absolutely love it to show up and show me all the different ways. And when I'm able to surrender to it and just accept what is, I'm just telling you, is it changes the whole experience of the season. I've said this before, Christmas is absolutely my favorite time of year, not even close. I just absolutely love it. Energetically, there's something about this time of year that I don't get most of the rest of the year. I don't know why that is, but I think it has something to do with so many people focusing on love and light. And that's one of the things that I just absolutely love. Like every single time I'm driving around and I'm looking at light and I'm looking at light and I'm looking at the different lights, there's a part of me that thinks that on a certain level, that one of the reasons we have so many lights for Christmas is it helps us remember. It helps us remember. And so for me, Christmas is about that. It's about remembering the light, but it's really and fully embracing it. Fully, full out. It's almost like God, like, let it rip. Let it rip. Go. Let's go. Let's take this further than we've ever taken it before. The song, I Want More of You, God, so much more of you, God, comes to mind when I think about that, right? It's this idea of really having this full-blown experience. As many and many of you know, to me, all these words mean nothing. The only thing that matters is the experience that you have with God. And for me, in my experience, I'm just telling you that there is nothing like it. When you have the experience of having the divine come through you, nobody is going to need to tell you anything. When you have that real experience of God coming through you and being with you and flowing through you, nobody's going to need to tell you anything. And my hope for you is that this season, that you actually get to have that experience. That you will literally sit, whether it's a moment or whether it's an hour or whether it's a day or whether it's a week, but you will actually feel the divine inside of you and you will go, oh my God, there it is. There it is. Because when that happens, it's going to change things. It will. Because you will be absolutely addicted to it and you're not going to want to let it go. And you're going to do every single thing that you can in your life to have that happen over and over and over and over again. And so that's my Christmas thought and my Christmas prayer to you, is that this Christmas season, if I can poke and prod you just a little bit, to have this understanding that when it comes to God, or this thing that we call God, or spirit, or whatever you want to call it, that you actually have a real experience of it, not just a bunch of words. It's actually a real experience of it. And my hope and prayer for you is that you can do it with friends and you can do it with family and you can do it when you're out there being busy and everything else like that. And you don't forget this. You don't forget it.